Now in this problem, a sequence of terms is defined as 2an is an plus 1 plus an minus 1, where a0 and a1 the values are given, and we are asked a0 plus a1 till a50. Now friends, we can clearly observe that an minus 1, an and an plus 1, all of them are in arithmetic progression, right? Because 2an is equal to an plus 1 plus an minus 1. That means this, then this and then this. These three are in arithmetic progression, right? So if a0 is 1, a1 is 3, a2 must be 5, average of these two, then this must be 7, because average of this and this must be this. So series will go on like this. So we can very well observe that the series is of odd number, right? Where a0 is 1. That means in all there are from 0 to 50, 51 terms, right? Here a1 is second odd number, a2 is third odd number. That means a50 will be 51 odd number, 51th odd number, that will be 101, right? So what is the sum of first 51 odd number? That is 51 square, or we can say 2601. Okay, I hope you are clear. Now let's try this problem based on arithmetic progression. Kamla fasted on 1st, 3rd, 6th, 10th, 15th day of year 2010, and Vimla fasted on 1st, 4th, 8th, 13th, 19th of 2010 and maintained the pattern thereafter when they would be fasting together again. A very simple problem. 1, 3, 6, 10, 15. The series is going on. The difference is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on, right? Here in case of Bimla, if we write 1, 4, 8, 13, 19, the difference is 3, 4, 5, 6. Now here the difference is starting with 2, here the difference is starting with 3. That means this difference is in this series the difference is 1 more than this series, right? So this series will always move one step ahead than this, right? So they won't be so we won't be getting any common term between these two series, right? So they won't be fasting ever again, together ever again. Okay, a very simple problem, no need to go for any detailed calculation or paperwork, right? Now a problem based on coordinate geometry. In the xy plane, two distinct lines are parallel to this line, each at a distance of 3 units from the given straight line. What are the lengths of the line segment of these two lines lying inside the circle? X square plus y square is 25. See friends, to solve this problem you must be having the basic knowledge of coordinate geometry, right? Now I just draw the diagram of the circle over here first. Now this is the diagram of the circle, and the center of the circle is 0, 0, and its radius is 5. So this point is 5, 0, it's minus 5, 0, it's 0, 5, and this is 0, minus 5, right? Now one line is there, that is 3y minus 4x is equal to 15. Now the other two lines should be in parallel to this line and having a distance of 3 units from this. So one line should be on this side and one line should be on this side. Then only the 3 unit distance will be maintained, right? Now the formula for distance between two parallel lines is c1 minus c2 upon root of a square plus b square, right? In this just what is the common pattern of our this parallel line is ax plus by plus c1 is equal to 0, and ax plus by plus c2 is equal to 0. You must be knowing that in case of parallel lines the coefficient of x and y are in proportion. The only difference between them is the constant term, right? So difference of constant term divided by a square plus b square, that is coefficient of x square plus coefficient of y square, right? So in this case what we want, c1 minus c2 by this thing must be 3. Now in this case c1 we know, that is 15. So 15 minus c2 we have to know, that is a constant term of the other line, by root of a square plus b square, that is 3 square plus 4 square, that's 5 square, so it's 5, and this distance should be plus minus 3, right? Either 3 unit upside or 3 unit downside. So C2 must be either 0 that is 5 into 3, 3 is positive, so C2 must be either 0 or C2 must be this 15 plus 15, 30, right? So one of the line will be is equal to 0 and other line must be 3y minus 4x is equal to 30. Now if the line is 3y minus 4x is equal to 0, obviously it will pass through origin, right? Now what we do, first of all, we draw this line 3y minus 4x is equal to 15, or though we don't require that, so straight we draw the line 3y minus 4x is equal to 0. So that will be, so 3y minus 4x is equal to 0, that means 3y is equal to 4x. That means when x is positive, y is positive, and when x is negative, y is negative. That means the line will pass through second quadrant and first quadrant, and I just draw it like this, first quadrant and third quadrant, because in the first quadrant x and y are positive and in the third quadrant x and y are negative, right? Because when x is positive, y is positive, when x is negative, y is negative, when we are discussing the case of 3y minus 4x is equal to 0. So that's this line. In this case we have to find out the length of this line, and apart from that one more line is there, that is this 3y minus 4x is equal to 30. Now I draw this line. So when x is equal to 0, 3y will be equal to 30, that means y is equal to 10. So when x is 0, y is 10. So the point will be somewhere here, maybe somewhere here, right? So this point is actually 0, 10. And when y is 0, in this case when 3y minus 4x is 30, when y is 0, x will be minus 30 by 4. So that's minus 7.5. So the point will be somewhere here. So this line will go outside the circle. So we don't have any part of this line inside the circle. That means the length of this this line that is inside the circle will be 0, right? So we have this option and this option. After that we have to find out the length of this portion. Now this is what double of the radius. Radius of the circle is 5, so double of the radius must be 10. So the length of other line which is there inside the circle is 0, and length of this portion will be 10. So 0 and 10 will be the correct choice. Okay, I hope you are clear. If you are conceptually clear about coordinate geometry, then this problem will be really easy for you, right? You don't need this much paperwork. You just need this this step, and after that just draw one line and get your answer. Okay, now how many numbers are there between 0 to 1000 which on division by 2, 4, 6, 8 leaves remainder 1, 3, 5, 7? Now clearly it can be observed that difference between this and this, 2 and 1 is 1, 4 and 3 is 1, 6 and 5 is 1, and 8 and 7 is 1, right? So you just find out the LCM of these numbers and deduct 1 from that. So you'll be getting these numbers as remainder. Now 2, 4, 6, 8 LCM will be obviously 24. So 24 minus, if I do 1, right? So it's 20 LCM minus 1, right? So it's 23. The first number is 23. You can very well verify. If you divide this 23 by 2468, you'll be getting these remainders only, right? So finally, what you have to do, you have to find out the multiples of 24 and just deduct 1 from that. So all the numbers between 0 to 1000, when they are divided by 2, 4, 6 and 8, they will be leaving this remainder, right? So the first multiple is 23. The next multiple of 24 is 48. So the next number will be 48 minus 1, that is 47. Okay, and this way the series will go on, and the common difference between the series will be 24. So the last number which is multiple of 24 of that is smaller than 1000 is 960 plus 24, that is 984. So one less than 984, that means 983. So from 23 to 983, how many number of terms are there that we have to calculate? Now this is simple and arithmetic progression with a common difference of 24. So this is the last term, first term, and minus 1 into t, right? So 983 minus 23 by 24, so n is equal to 41. Okay, I hope you are clear. A very simple problem. We have an interesting problem with us. A is one of the roots of x is to 5 minus 1 is equal to 0, and where a is not equal to 1, we have to find out the value of this expression. Now if a is root of this expression, this equation, that means a raised to 5 minus 1 should be equal to 0, that means a raised to 5 should be equal to 1. Surely a is not equal to 1, but a raised to 5 will be equal to 1. Maybe other 4 roots are like imaginary roots. Okay, so a raised to 5 is equal to 1. So if I put the value of a raised to 5 over here, so a raised to 15 will be what? A raised to 5 raised to 3, so that will also be 1. So this is 1, this is a raised to 15 into a raised to 15 is 1, so this a, similarly it is a square, then a cube, and lastly it is a raised to 4. So it is 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, further 20 will come over here, 21, 22, 23, 24, and the series will go on, right? So till we get a raised to 49, a raised to 49 will be actually a raised to 4, it's 48, 47, 46 and 45, right? So it's starting from 15 and going till 45. After that 50, for 50 a raised to 50 will once again 1. So from 15 to 45 we'll be getting the same series. Now from 1 to 50 there are 10 multiples of 5. So I exclude 5, I exclude 10 and I exclude 15. So there will be 7 multiples. So we'll be getting 7 this series, right? So 7 times, I just write it over here, 7 times this series. Okay. And apart from that a raised to 50, that will be 1. Now this is a geometric progression that can be very well observed, and there are 5 terms in this geometric progression. So what will be the sum of a geometric progression? That is the first term, that's 1 a raised to number of terms minus 1 by a minus 1. A is common ratio over here, so I just mentioned a plus ar till arn. The sum is a r raised to n minus 1 by r minus 1. So on this, in this I'm just putting up the value where r is the common ratio, n is the number of terms. Here number of terms is 5, common ratio is a. So this will be the sum of this, and into 7 we have to do, and apart from that we have just 1. Now a raised to 5 minus 1 will be 0, because a raised to 5 is equal to 1, which is there, and a is clearly not equal to 1, so denominator is not 0. That means this expression is very well defined. So final answer, we are left with just 1 only. Okay, I hope you are clear. One more interesting problem on geometry. In the given figure, ABCD is a quadrilateral with BC is 4 and AD is 2. What is the length of AB? Now here BC is given as 4 and AD is given as 2. And we have to find out the length of AB. I assume it to be X. Okay. Now what I'll do is, I'll just extend this length AB and this length DC, so they will meet at a point. Wait for a moment. So now I got this triangle. I suppose it is say P. So PBC, I got a triangle. Now this is 60, this is 60, that means this must be 60 degree. That means PBC is an equilateral triangle. Now if BC is equal to 4, PB must be 4, right? This entire length must be 4. Now see, this is 60, this is 60, this is 150, that means in all it is 270. So this angle must be 90, right? So if this angle is 90, this angle must be 90 degree. Okay. Now we know the entire length of line PB, that is 4. If we deduct the part AP from that will be getting the length of AB. Now how do we deduct that? See, we know the length of this and we know this angle, that is 60 degree. So tan 60 degree will give the relationship between these two, right? So tan 60 degree is equal to 2 by AP, that is perpendicular by base, and tan 60 degree is root 3. So AP is what? 2 by root 3. Now the entire length is 4. From 4, if I deduct 2 by root 3, I'll be getting this length. So final answer is 4 minus 2 by root 3. So this is 4 minus 2 by root 3. I hope you are clear. Once again, a problem based on geometry. ABCD is a parallelogram. E is a point on AB such that EE is to BE is to 3. A line EF is drawn parallel to AD and it meets CD at F. G is a point on BC such that GB is to GC is 1:4. What is the ratio of area of triangle DEC to triangle EFG? First of all, we draw a parallelogram over here. Now we have this diagram. This is a parallelogram. ABCD. The point E is there on line AB where AE is to BE 2:3, right? This ratio is 2:3. Similarly, GB is to GC is 1:4. 1:4. Now we have to find out the ratio of the area of triangle DEC to triangle EFG. DEC, that is this triangle that I have drawn in purple color, triangle DEC, and triangle this EFG. Now I assume that the area of the entire parallelogram is suppose A, right? This parallelogram ABCD area is A. Now you must be knowing that the triangle that is having the same base as the parallelogram and it is between the same parallels, then the area of this triangle must be half than that of the parallelogram. That means area of triangle DEC, since the base CD is same, the area of triangle DEC will be half than that of the parallelogram. So if the area of the parallelogram ABCD is A, area of triangle DEC will be A by 2. Right? That is the first thing. Now see here, this line, that is line EF, is distributing this parallelogram into two parts. This is 2/5 of the total is base. Total base is 5 part. So out of this, 2/5 part is this and 3/5 part is this. That means area of BEFC is 3/5 of A, right? Area of BEFC is 3/5 of A, because the third part of this 3/5 part is there and 2/5 part is this side. So we are neglecting the 2/5 part. So the area of EBCF is 3/5 of the entire area of the parallelogram. Now the same thing we will apply over here. Here in this parallelogram, this triangle, that is EFG, it is between the same parallels and sharing the same base. That means area of this triangle will be half of area of EFCP, right? Area of triangle EFG will be half of EFCP. Now area of EFCB is 3 by 5 of A, so area of EFG will be half of that, right? Now we have to find out DEC by EFG. DEC is A by 2 and this is what? 3A by 10. So divide by 3A by 10, or I can say 10 by 3A. Okay, so finally it is 5:3. So we don't have 5:3 among the option. We have 3:5, but that is wrong. We want 5:3. So that's none of these. Okay, I hope you are clear. No much paperwork is required. Just very simple concept of geometry we are using over here. That is the triangle which is having the same base as of the parallelogram, and if it is between the same parallels, then its area is half than that of the parallelogram. This concept only we have used over here, right? So simply in one step you can get the answer. I hope you are clear. When 2 is added to each of the three roots of this cubic equation, we get the roots of this equation. A, B, C, P, Q are non-zero real numbers. What is the value of 4A plus 2B plus C? Concept of cubic equation must be clear over here, and you must be knowing that the constant term represents the product of the roots, right? If initial equation is suppose x minus alpha, x minus beta, x minus gamma is 0, then alpha, beta, gamma, that is the product of the roots, and that is actually the constant term, right? So if you expand this, you'll be getting minus alpha, beta, gamma. So alpha, beta, gamma is equal to C. Okay, that is over here. Now in this case 2 is added to each term, that means product of the term, product of this the new roots will be 18, right? So it's alpha plus 2, beta plus 2, and gamma plus 2 is 18. Now quickly expand this. It's alpha beta plus 2 beta plus 2 alpha plus 4, and then it is multiplied by this, so finally it is alpha beta gamma plus 2 beta gamma plus 2 alpha gamma plus 4 gamma plus 2 alpha beta plus 4 beta plus 4 alpha plus 8 is equal to 18. Okay. Now what? Alpha beta gamma, we know that it is C. I put C over here. Now 2 beta gamma plus 2 alpha gamma plus 2 alpha beta. Alpha beta plus beta gamma plus alpha gamma, that is coefficient of X, right? So that is B over here. So it's 2 times B. Okay. After that we are left with 4 alpha, 4 beta and 4 gamma. So 4 times alpha plus beta plus gamma. So alpha plus beta plus gamma is sum of the roots in negative, right? So alpha plus beta plus gamma will be A over here. So it is 4 times alpha plus beta plus gamma. So it will be 4A plus 8 is equal to 18. So that's 10. So C plus 2B plus 4A is equal to 10. C plus 2B plus 4A is equal to 10. If you are clear with the cubic equation, the problem is very simple for you. Now a problem based on averages. On 1st January 2000, the average age of the family of 6 people was A years. After 5 years, a child was born in the family, and 1 year after that, the average age was again found to be A years. What is the value of A? Now in 2000, average age is A years and the total number of family members is 6, so the total age will be 6A. Now after 5 years, average will also be increased by 5, right? So the new total age of the entire family is this. Now one child is born in this year, so further after 1 year, average will be increased by 1, right? And the new child age will be plus 1. Now this is actually equal to the new average is A years, so the new total will be 7A because now there are 7 family members, right? So this is the entire equation to be solved. So 6A plus 6, that is plus 1, 37 is 7A, that means A is 37, right? Very simple. I hope you are clear. Now a problem based on greatest integer function. Here box x is greatest integer less than or equal to x, and this x is x minus box x. That means precisely this part is actually fractional part. Any number, suppose x, can be written as box x plus fractional part, or I can say integral part plus fractional part. Now fractional part will always be greater than equal to 0, less than 1, right? Because fraction is either lies between 0 to 1, but it cannot be 1. If it is 1, it will be an integer, not a fraction. Okay, so an integer I just have written as I over here. Now I put up the value of x over here. It is 5 box x, that means I just write it 5i plus 3 fractional part of x is equal to 6 plus x can be written as I plus f. Okay, now 5i minus I is 4i plus 2f is equal to 6, that means 2i plus f is equal to 3. Okay, now friends, here we are having an integer value, here we are having an integer value, so fraction value will be 0, that means f cannot be any number or any integer, I can say, right? 2i plus f is 3, so f has to be 0 because integer plus integer will produce integer only. Integer plus fraction cannot produce an integer, so f has to be 0. Now if f is 0, then 2i is equal to 3, that means I is equal to what? 3 by 2, and 3 by 2 is what? It's a fraction, and we are having I, that means it should be an integer, right? So we don't have any solution for this equation, right? So no real value of x will satisfy this equation. I hope you are clear.